Your brain is not broken. It is simply running the wrong program, and today we fix that together. Welcome back. In this episode, we are going to explore something that sounds ordinary, but changes everything about how you learn a language. We are talking about switching your brain over to English. Not just studying it, not just reading it, but actually living inside it. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That sounds great, but my life does not give me time for that. Or maybe I do not live in an English-speaking country, so how would that even work? Here is the thing. Location does not determine fluency. Lifestyle does. Thousands of highly fluent English speakers never set foot in the United Kingdom or the United States. They did not grow up surrounded by native speakers. They did not have expensive tutors or unlimited study hours. What they had was a system, a repeatable, low-effort daily system that slowly rewired the way their brain processes language. That system is exactly what this episode is about. So whether you are a complete beginner, someone who has been studying for years and still feels stuck, or a person who understands English perfectly but freezes the moment you try to speak, this episode is for you. We are going to walk through 5 practical methods you can start using immediately. No extra time required, no expensive courses, and no native speaker sitting next to you. But before we get into those 5 methods, I want to explain something that most English teachers never actually address. And once you understand it, everything else will click into place. Have you ever been in a conversation in English, understood exactly what the other person said, and then completely blanked on how to respond? You knew what you wanted to say. The idea was clear in your mind. But getting it out in English felt like running through deep water. Slow, heavy, exhausting. That is not a vocabulary problem. That is not a grammar problem. That is a translation problem. Here is what is actually happening inside your head. When someone speaks to you in English, your brain receives the message. So far, so good. But then, instead of generating an English response directly, your brain makes a detour. It converts the idea into your native language first. Then it builds the response in your native language. Then it tries to translate that response back into English. And then, only then, does it attempt to send the words to your mouth. That is 4 steps where there should be only 1. And while all of that internal processing is happening, the conversation has moved on. The other person is already looking at you. The silence is stretching. Your heart rate is climbing. And suddenly, the pressure itself makes the translation even harder. Think about a simple example. Someone asks you, "What did you get up to this weekend?" You understood it instantly. But before you can answer, your brain sprints back to your first language. You think the answer there. You build the sentence there. And then you try to dress it up in English, vocabulary, and grammar. And somewhere in that process, something gets lost, scrambled, or delayed. This is not a sign that you are bad at English. This is a sign that your brain has not yet been trained to generate English directly. And here is the good news, the part that changes everything. The brain is trainable. Neuroplasticity is real. Every time you practice producing English thoughts without going through your native language, first, you are literally building new neural pathways. You are installing a shortcut. The 5 methods in this episode are specifically designed to build that shortcut. Each one attacks the translation habit from a different angle. Together, they create something powerful. Let us get into them. This is where everything starts, and it is simpler than you think. Most people, when they try to think in English, attempt to construct complete, grammatically perfect sentences. And that pressure alone shuts the process down because your brain knows your English is not yet fluent, and it refuses to commit to a sentence that might be wrong. So we take the pressure off completely. Instead of trying to think in full sentences, you start thinking in single words and short fragments. Right now, wherever you are, look around you. What do you see? Name those things in English. Not in your head, in your native language first, just directly in English. Chair, window, street, coffee cup, sky, phone. That is it. That is the exercise. At first, you might not know every word. That is completely fine. Skip the ones you do not know, or make a mental note to look them up later. The goal is not perfection. The goal is direct connection from object to English word without a stop in your native language along the way. Once naming things feels natural, and it will start feeling natural faster than you expect, you add the next layer. You add action words. Instead of just thinking chair, you think I sit on the chair. Instead of just window, you think I open the window. Now your brain is not just labeling the world in English, it is narrating it. And narration is the beginning of fluency. After that, you go one step further. You start asking yourself questions and answering them. Imagine someone asks you, "What are you doing right now?" You answer in your mind, "I am watching a video. I am trying to improve my English. I feel focused." Imagine someone asks, "What did you do this morning?" You answer, "I woke up early. I made coffee. I checked my messages." Short, simple, direct, no translation involved. This mental conversation habit is one of the most underrated tools in language learning. You can do it while you are commuting, while you are cooking, while you are waiting for anything. No partner needed, no app needed. Just your own mind, practicing quietly. Stop translating your thoughts. Start thinking in the language you want to speak. And when you do not know a word in the middle of a thought, do not switch to your native language to fill the gap. Try describing the idea differently. If you cannot think of the word exhausted, you say very, very tired. If you cannot remember umbrella, you say the thing that keeps rain off you. This skill, working around gaps, is exactly what fluent speakers do in real life. Here is a question worth sitting with. How many hours per day do you spend inside your own head, narrating your own life in your native language? Most people never count it, but it is a lot. Getting dressed, preparing food, walking somewhere, waiting, cleaning, traveling. All of that inner dialogue is happening in your first language by default. What if you redirected even a fraction of it? You do not need to add anything to your day. You do not need a new schedule. You simply upgrade what is already happening. When you get dressed in the morning, narrate it. "I put on my jacket. It is cold today. I need my keys." When you are making something to eat, describe it. "I am cutting the onion. The pan is getting hot. This smells good." When you are walking somewhere, observe out loud, even if only in your mind. "There is a lot of traffic today. The weather is better than yesterday. I see a dog running." None of these sentences are complicated. None of them require an advanced vocabulary. But every single one of them is training your brain to reach for English first rather than your native language. Here is why this works on a neurological level. Your brain strengthens whatever pathways it uses repeatedly. If you spend 20 minutes every morning narrating your routine in English, that is 20 minutes of English first thinking practice. Over 30 days, that is 10 hours of immersive mental practice without ever sitting down to study. You can also use this method to practice different verb tenses naturally. In the morning, you think about what you will do today, future tense. During the day, you narrate what you are doing right now, present tense. In the evening, you review what happened, past tense. 3 tenses, 0 extra effort, just a small shift in what language your inner voice runs on. After a few weeks of this, something quietly remarkable will happen. You will notice that English words start arriving before you consciously search for them. The lag between thought and expression shrinks. And that is the moment you realize the shortcut is working. Let me ask you something. If you wanted to learn to recognize a piece of music, what would you do? Would you sit down and study the sheet music? Or would you just listen to it again and again until it became completely familiar? Language is the same. Before you can produce it naturally, your brain needs to absorb it deeply. And the most direct path to deep absorption is consistent listening, not occasional listening, not listening when you feel motivated, daily listening, even for 10 or 15 minutes, even while you are doing something else. Now, I am not talking about passive background noise that you ignore completely. I am talking about engaged, intentional listening, the kind where you are genuinely paying attention to what is being said, even if you do not understand every single word. And here is something important that many learners get wrong. You do not need to understand 100% of what you hear for it to be useful. In fact, some of the most valuable listening practice happens when you understand around 60 or 70% and your brain has to work to fill in the rest. That gap, the part you do not fully catch, is where growth lives. Your brain is pattern matching, predicting, and connecting in real time. That is not failure. That is exactly the process you want to be triggering. So what should you listen to? Here is the honest answer, whatever you will actually keep listening to. If you enjoy stories, find English podcasts that tell stories. If you enjoy humor, watch English comedy clips. If you are interested in science or technology or travel, find English content on those topics. The subject matter matters less than your level of genuine interest, because interest keeps you returning. And returning is everything. Start with content that matches your current level. Slightly challenging, but not impossible. As your ear adjusts, gradually increase the difficulty. This is how your listening naturally scales over time without ever feeling overwhelming. And do not underestimate the power of repetition. Listening to the same piece of content 2 or 3 times is not boring. It is strategic. The first time, you get the general meaning. The second time, you catch more detail. The third time, you start noticing exactly how the speaker builds sentences, chooses words, and uses rhythm. That noticing is what transfers into your own speaking. Make English audio part of your environment, the way you make music part of your environment. When you are doing something that does not require your full mental attention, walking, tidying, exercising, let English be the sound that fills that space. The language you hear daily is the language you will eventually think in naturally. Over weeks and months, something shifts. You stop needing to mentally decode sentences. Understanding starts arriving automatically, almost effortlessly. And that effortless understanding is the direct predecessor to effortless speaking. Here is something that surprises many learners when they first hear it. Speaking English is a physical activity. Your mouth, your tongue, your lips, the muscles in your jaw and throat, they all need to be trained, just like any other muscle group. If you only read English in your head or only listen to English through earphones, those muscles are not getting the workout they need. And that is why so many people who understand English very well still feel uncomfortable the moment they have to produce it. The understanding is there. The physical fluency is not. The solution is simple, even if it feels slightly awkward at first. You read out loud. You repeat out loud. You speak out loud. Take any sentence from a video you just watched, from a podcast you enjoyed, from something you read, and say it aloud. Not just once. Say it again. Say it with more confidence. Say it as if you are telling someone something important. For example, take this sentence. I want to express myself clearly in English. Say it naturally. Now say it again, a little faster. Now say it as if you are making a promise to someone. Notice how each time you say it, it starts to feel less like reading and more like speaking. This technique, reading and repeating aloud with increasing naturalness, is one of the fastest ways to close the gap between your passive English ability and your active speaking ability. You can also use this technique with a method called shadowing. Shadowing means you listen to a short piece of English audio and you repeat it as closely as possible, matching not just the words, but the rhythm, the pace, the rise and fall of the speaker's voice. You are not translating, you are not analyzing, you are mirroring, like an echo. Try it with this sentence. Fluency does not come from studying harder, it comes from using the language more. Listen, repeat, match the flow. At first, shadowing feels unusual. You might feel like you are speaking too quickly, or that your version sounds nothing like the original. That is perfectly normal. The point is not perfection on day one. The point is that your mouth and your brain are working together in English without a translation layer in between. If you do this for 5 minutes a day, just 5 minutes, the results over a single month will genuinely surprise you. Your pronunciation will become cleaner, your rhythm will become more natural, and your confidence will grow. Because confidence is really just the feeling of being physically comfortable with a skill. So use your voice. Use it every day, even when no one is listening, especially when no one is listening. This final method is the one most people overlook because it sounds almost too easy. But it might be the highest return, lowest effort change on this entire list. Change your phone's display language to English. Think about how often you look at your phone in a single day. 50 times, 80 times, 100? Every single one of those interactions, checking notifications, adjusting settings, reading menus, scrolling through apps is an opportunity for your brain to process English words in context. When your phone is set to your native language, all of that time is wasted from a language learning perspective. When it is set to English, all of that time becomes low effort exposure. Words like notifications, privacy, storage, airplane mode, do not disturb. You will encounter them dozens of times a week without ever sitting down to study them. This is called contextual learning. And contextual learning is significantly more durable than memorization because your brain connects the word to a real, repeated action rather than a list on a page. Beyond your phone, look for other small ways to plant English into your environment. Change your most used apps to English where possible. Label objects around your home with small sticky notes in English. Set your computer's operating system to English. Every one of these changes is tiny. Together, they create an environment that quietly reinforces English at every turn. Now, here is the second habit under this method, and it is equally powerful. Keep a daily English journal, but not the kind that feels like homework. You are not trying to write essays. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are simply writing 3 sentences about your day in English every evening before you sleep. Today was longer than I expected. I had a good conversation at lunch. I am going to sleep earlier tonight. That is it. 3 sentences. 5 minutes at most. But what those 3 sentences are doing is remarkable. They are forcing your brain to retrieve English vocabulary from memory under no pressure. They are practicing sentence structure without any teacher watching. And they are building a daily habit of English production that compounds over time. If you want to take this further, try reading your journal entries aloud before you go to sleep. Now you have combined writing, reading aloud, and self-expression in one small evening ritual. And one more addition. Short-form video content, the kind you already scroll through every day, can be one of the most effective English practice tools available if you use it deliberately. Watch a short English video on any topic you enjoy. Watch it twice. Then try to repeat 1 or 2 sentences from it out loud. You are not memorizing. You are absorbing and reproducing. That is active learning.